Morning, everybody. How are we all doing? Morning, Paul. Morning, Evil. Morning, David. David, what are you doing here? You're not normally in the morning sessions. You're an afternoon person. What's happening? Being kept awake by the wildfires in LA? I don't know. How are we all doing? Morning, FTNet. So today is non-farm payroll day. Morning, remote. It's obviously yesterday was a no news day. Didn't really do an awful lot. We had a lot of movement on the pound yesterday. Very big drops on the pound. Still think it's going to recover though. Not sure. We'll have to wait and see. Morning, Gregors. So yeah, non-farm payroll day today. So this morning's session likely to be rotational. We don't tend to get a lot of movement ahead of non-farm payroll, so market just sort of sits around and waits for 1:30, an hour before the New York Open, for the unemployment rates. So unemployment rate for CAD and for the US, we're forecasting no change on the US and a slight uptick in CAD. So there is potential basically for bullish price action with both of these this afternoon, but we'll wait and see what happens. Non-farm employment change obviously is what everybody, non-farm payroll is what everybody calls it, but it's basically the unemployment rate which is moving the markets. So that's 1:30 this afternoon. Then we've got University of Michigan at 3. So this morning's session, not going to be an awful lot of action, I wouldn't imagine. There's no ADRs overnight during Asia, so nothing to report there at all. We've got a lot of weeklies which are embedded, which mainly are the pound pairs, which are all extended beyond their weekly ranges, starting to pull back a little bit now. So we'll see how they go. But yeah, so that's today from a news perspective. Overnight, not an awful lot happened. Nothing exciting from the Asian session at all. We had Bowman coming out yesterday saying that the December interest rate cut should be the last. There's a lot of upside inflation risks. So this is indicating that the US are not going to be changing their interest rates in the near future, making it slightly bullish. But we'll have to wait and see. I suspect their stance at the moment and why they're saying this is more to do with Trump, because obviously until Trump is in not next week, the week after, and we know what's happening with the trade tariffs and what he's planning to do economically with regards to import exports. We don't know what is going to happen in the US at all. So I don't think there's going to be a lot of movement. The US interest rates are sitting at 4.5. Looks like they're going to stay there. The UK interest rates, it looks like we've got potential for one uptick. Rachel Reeves basically coming out and forecasting doom and gloom for the UK moving forward and the possibility of interest rate rises. We're up at 4.75%, so we're returning back to where we were in the 70s, where interest rates were high all the time and they kept going up. We were up over double digits then. I hope we don't get there now, because my mortgage will be a problem. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. So interest rates to remain high this year across the board, I think. So no real bullish or bearish advantage on any currency, but we'll have to wait and see. Markets opened this morning. Pre-market range is too tight on the DAX, so I'm taking the 5-minute opening range break. Long already triggered on the pre-market on the FTSE, but not gone anywhere. So a bit of upside rejection. Actually, just nothing basically. Nothing moved. So we'll wait and see where those go today. Obviously, there was no US session yesterday, so the US will probably be fairly lively this afternoon, because obviously there's 2 days worth of trading to get through. The indices yesterday for me, I traded the DAX and the FTSE, managed to get one fairly decent break and one hedge. No, it wasn't. Sorry, that's total lie. Yesterday was a hedge and a hedge recovery. Yeah. So FTSE yesterday was a hedge. So was the DAX. DAX obviously didn't do anything yesterday, but I got out on that retracement on the FTSE. So made about £20 yesterday. Big day. No movement. Very, very quiet market. So I wouldn't expect any huge movement this morning. We'll have to wait and see what happens with that. Morning, everybody else. Morning, Monkey. Gregors. I'm in North Carolina, if you've heard of it. I've heard of North Carolina. Just up and awake. That's brilliant. I like the fact that you're up and awake. Maybe you should set your alarm every day to wake up specifically for the stream, David. That would be good. How's the snow weather by me? With snow's gone. Frosty. Very frosty. It's cold. 1 degree. Which I'm kind of getting used to now in the UK, to be honest. We have these massive cold snaps, but I live by the coast and we have lots of salty air, so we very rarely ever get snow. We had snow on Wednesday, which lasted for maybe 2-3 hours, and it settled and then it was gone by the morning. So don't get any exciting snow down here where I am, but half the country is actually completely covered, so better to be covered in snow than fire at the moment, isn't it? Can't believe how much of LA has gone up. It was 30 or 50 miles of size gone in LA. That's unbelievable. Talk about apocalyptic. Did anybody see that film with James Franco? Who else was in it? Can't remember the name of him. I'm gonna have to look it up. Basically, it's the end of the world, and they all go around James Franco's house for a party. What was it called? No, it's a while ago. Oh my God, I'm never going to be able to find it. It's got loads of famous people in it, basically. And it's exactly like that. This is your death? No. Anyway, if you know the film, you know what I'm talking about. God, was it that old? Can't be that old. This is the end. That's it. Where is it then? Pretenders. The Real World, this is the end edition. There it is. Look, this is the end. But basically, it's the same. There you go. Look, all these famous people in it. It's a really good film. Go and watch it. 2013. But basically, it's exactly what's happening in LA at the moment. But obviously, it's a version which is not to do with what real world events with the fire. It's to do with basically devils and stuff coming up from under the earth and eating up everybody. Anyway, there you go. There's my film review of this at the end. Professional. That's why I'm not a film reviewer. First day using SIH demo, of course. Good man. Morning, James. Yeah, so SIH obviously today, we'll see what happens, but market is incredibly slow today, so just have to wait and see. The whole way, the best way to use SIH is literally, somebody contacted me about a set file the other day. Said, what's the best set file? I always get this question. I can never answer it because there isn't one. But with SIH, it's the only danger with this strategy is if you get a hedge recovery that doesn't work out. So if you get clean breaks and normal days, which are anything less than 125 to 150 ADR, 125 ADR really, the EA will virtually always get you out of a hedge. So you either get a clean break, clean profit, or you get a hedge where you basically move to an area and you get a hedge recovery. Because as long as there's market structure in a day and rotation, you'll always get out. The only downside to the SIH is when you get one of those parabolic days where it just, I mean, that's a perfect example of a hedge recovery. That's a hedge recovery. A parabolic day is where it does that. That's a hedge recovery. I can't see a parabolic day. Maybe there. So if you got hedged there, that would be, you probably got out on that though. See what I mean? It's very hard to get a day where you don't get a pullback. And if you get a pullback, you're always getting out. This is the thing. So the only ones you got to worry about is where it goes 200 parabolic. And those tend to be the days where you get news. So high impact news days like today, non-farm payroll, those are the days you really got to babysit it. Any other day, you don't really have to babysit it as much. But the edges long term, you have to let them play out. So anyway, we'll come back to that in a minute because market's basically not moving. Right, so that's news today, non-farm payroll this afternoon. ADRs, we've got no ADRs today. There's a few weekly range extensions. It's the 10th of the month. We've got no monthlies yet, so nothing there. This week has been very down for the pound. Let me put the start of the week in because it is the weekly recap. So that's Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. There we go. So you can see basically pound very, very weak this week. We were weak last week as well, but we are down. This is mainly to do with, I think, what Rachel Reeves has been going on about with forecasts for the UK being very, very negative. So lots of downside at the moment on the pound, as you can see. I've got quite a few longs on pound pairs at the moment. I don't think it's going to be a parabolic drop unless she says something particularly bad. Remember what Liz Truss did to us. So if you were around when Liz Truss crashed the market, got to go back a bit. Yeah, it's not. We're not going to get something like that because this was caused by Liz Truss not really telling us exactly what she was going to announce and then announcing out the blue what they were going to do, which the markets then went, you can't do that. We have to sell all pound. And they did. At the moment, it's just a decline. So I think what we're going to see is just normal market structure, but potential bearish movement fundamentally, but bullish movement from an interest rate perspective. So I don't think we're going to drop hard. I think we are going to probably start to grind down, but in an orderly manner, because there's still that pressure of interest rate rises coming, especially if we get the next CPI number coming out as a positive. In which case, can we go on past the 18th yet? No, there's a glitch with the Forex factory calendar where you can't go beyond Saturday, the 18th of January. It just doesn't go beyond that. I don't know what they've done, but next week is CPI. So if this CPI forecast number comes out positive next week, it's going to put real pressure on the Bank of England to increase interest rates again. That is going to rally the pound. So I'm not particularly worried about having a fair amount of exposure on the pound at the moment, because I think a lot of this is knee-jerk reaction to what has been said over the last week. But I don't think it's necessarily going to be long-term bearish. So we'll see. Liz is suing people for saying she crashed the economy. I know. You crashed the economy and you're telling everyone else they're wrong. Lettuce. Anyway, right. So yeah, rest of the market. Aussie dollar, as you can see, a little bit bearish against the CAD. Swiss franc not moved. Yen, a little bit up and down this week. Lovely midweek reversal type thing going on. But yeah, not an awful lot of movement, as you can see. So totally sideways Aussie New Zealand. Aussie US, a little bit bearish. That was the exit of all exits, wasn't it? Look at that for exit. Yeah, return to origin. Always target where the propulsion gap starts, because that is where the sellers are and that is where they're going to add to their positions. So just still long on it, but not really gone anywhere. As you can see, this is where we closed out last week. We're back. CAD Swiss ever so slightly bullish. All the yen pairs very stable at the moment, just sort of hovering around waiting to go somewhere. Nothing exciting. Euro sideways, nothing much moved. So for the first week, proper sort of trading week, there's not been a lot of movement apart from that pound. So pound obviously destroyed. I'm short euro pound. This is a double ADR. Didn't get an entry on Wednesday on it, on the ADR hit. That was an RSI above 80 yesterday and another ADR 125. So short on that yesterday. I've got two positions on it. One's an RSI, one's an ADR. So I'm taking half of it off in propulsion and then the rest of it I'll let run. Euro yen, not gone anywhere. Sideways Euro New Zealand, Euro US dollar, a little bit of movement on at the beginning, but obviously all undone again. So again, that's where we closed. This is where we are. So we're waiting to see what happens with non-farm payroll this afternoon. There's not much point in doing any analysis until we get the interest rates, because the interest rates are going to decide the future direction of the US. although I don't think necessarily today they will do because we're waiting for Trump. But so yeah, sideways. Got a couple on the pound odd. So this is all the pound pairs, basically, the ones worth looking at this week. So that was last week. So we got a gap down last week. This was the 2nd of January open. We gapped down, big propulsion move that day, 225 ADR. Then we sat around, undid 38% of it into previous resistance, double top that, and we dropped this week. So I'm looking for a return back to propulsion. That's where I think we're going to get as a kind of worst case scenario. I think we'll fill this propulsion gap, but I think there's a good argument for getting all the way back up there. Look at what we've retested. This is the three-week low. So this is basically December's low pretty much. This is actually December's low, but 3-week low. We hit that instant rejection off of it yesterday. So if we can get some strength today or weakness in the Aussie on this one particularly, I think we're heading back up there. Pound CAD, very much the same. We've come straight out of propulsion. Yeah, so news, add, buy rally starts. This is where the buyers started to move. We've collapsed straight into it. They've rebought. So that's market structure potentially. So be watching this area here, which is the weekly lows for signs of rejection. A lot of sellers in there, a lot of sellers in there, a lot of sellers in there. Yeah, so we're looking for a push back up into this propulsion gap as a worst case scenario, but potentially further. If you look at it, this is potentially 79.9 retracement leg up. Yeah, so always look at the market in two ways. It's either doing one or two things. It's basically bearish or it's bullish. There's only two things it can do. So you have to decide which camp you're in and then scale into moves within that leg that you think we're forming. But for me, I don't think it's as bearish as it looks at the moment from a fundamental perspective. Pound Swiss, got longs on that at the moment. 2 longs on this one, totally range bound. This week we obviously collapsed here. We had some fairly decent Swiss franc strength at the same time as the pound weakness. So we've tapped straight into the December low, 3-week low, 2-week low, this little support area here. So there's a hell of a lot of buyers here. And obviously we hit that. We tried to get through it multiple times, rejected. So you've got to say, always assume the market's going to do the same thing it's done recently until it doesn't. So let the market prove you wrong. At the moment, we are in a range. I'm going to assume that we're in a range until we're not in a range anymore. Yeah. So when it starts to break out into a trend, that's when you're wrong. At the moment, I'm assuming that we're range bound. So long on that one at the moment, up into the propulsion gap. Pound yen sideways. Well, back to where we started last Friday. Pound New Zealand, that one's broken down a little bit more. We had some strength on the Aussie and New Zealand slightly, so it's a little bit more bearish. But again, not going anywhere on this one. I'm not trading Pound New Zealand at the moment because the swaps are just too big. So I'm not holding any positions long term on something that expensive. And the Pound US dollar has moved down, so got out of the shorts on Wednesday. Not going long. It's slightly too expensive for me to trade long at the moment. And again, impossible to tell what this is going to do. If the US does power up on Trump, then obviously with a weak pound, this is going to be probably the squeeziest thing out there at the moment. But we'll have to wait and see. Sorry, wrong button. Where's my Zoom gone? New Zealand pairs, not really a lot of movement. Oh, wrong one. Very sideways. We were very sideways before Christmas. In the interim, so got out of the longs there. Again, beautiful exit on the long positions there. That was an initial RSI extension. So yeah, got another long on yesterday. So we got another RSI extension yesterday. First entry went in there at the double bottom. It's coming down again today. So, but looking for a test back up into propulsion. So always look at where you think price is going to be going. Market structure is currently bearish. Therefore, if it's going to remain bearish, where's it going before it puts in a lower high? Somewhere around here to get a lower high. New Zealand Swiss, sideways. New Zealand yen. None of the yen's doing anything at the moment. New Zealand US got out of the longs on Monday, instantly flipped short on the ADR reversal, got out of that. Now I'm flipped long again because we're extended on RSI. We have just about held that level from last week. Looking for it to come back up into here. But again, we are range bound. So until the market proves we're not range bound, we're range bound. US dollar CAD. Long from Monday was an ADR reversal entry out on Wednesday. So again, that's back to where we started. Propulsion, sell. So if you're going to take that one today, it's not an RSI extension, it's not an ADR, but it is a propulsion gap bounce. If you're looking for a push back down into here. US Swiss, not really doing much at the moment. I got out of that one on Wednesday. Which was the RSI extension and ADR extension from Monday. But yeah, very bullish US dollar Swiss at the moment. Swiss franc weak, reducing interest rates, but they can intervene anytime they like. And US dollar yen stuck. So this one is really stuck at the minute. We broke last month's high just about on Tuesday. And then we held above it on Wednesday. We broke down below it yesterday. And now we're putting in a potential lower high. So you can see the dotted lines here is yesterday's high and previous day's high. Yeah, so that's yesterday's high, previous day's high. So as long as we remain below that 158.555 level, potentially we have broken structure on this. Yeah, so market reversal alert's gone in. Yeah, we're putting in a new low. This is potentially the new lower high for the next leg down back in to test this propulsion gap. So it is a good looking short entry here. If you wanted to use a stop on this, obviously just above the reversal in case it comes up and double tops it. But today obviously is non-farm payroll. So you need to be careful because there's a high probability of a whipsaw on it. But totally stuck on this. Not sure what's going on with the Japanese at the moment. This is normally the levels where when we break new highs, this is usually when they say, oi, stop pushing us, otherwise we're going to do an intervention. Got radio silence from Japan at the moment. They haven't said anything about intervention. They haven't said anything about being worried about FX moves. They just don't seem to be phased at the minute. So something is going on under the hood in Japan. They've got some plan bubbling to handle this situation, but at the moment it's too expensive to trade with the US up here. So I'm not quite sure what they're going to do. We're approaching the intervention. So it's 125 ADR away. We're hitting the bottom of the intervention level. I mean, they were screaming and shouting here, weren't they? On the first failed intervention, they were screaming and shouting about it here. We're above that level. So I don't know what's going on. But if I'm wanting to get long on yen because of the swap costs. However, it's getting to the point where it's dangerous to go long in case they press the button. Yeah, if they press the button, you're in trouble. So I'm certainly not going to take a short position because it's too expensive, but I'm thinking twice about getting into longs. So I'm going to wait and see what happens with non-farm payroll today. If the US rallies and stays rallied, I think there's a chance we're going to see some danger on this US dollar yen. So I would probably turn the EA off and say no more longs either, and just stay out of the yen until we get to this intervention level. I want to see how the Japanese react at this point. I mean, if we break this high, it just proves that the Japanese have got nothing left in the tank. This was the final intervention attempt before virtual currency bankruptcy. Yeah, if you cannot trade, your economy is going to collapse. Above that level, I mean, above 150, it's hard for the Japanese to trade. So we'll have to see what happens. But anyway, that's that one. Morning, Virginia. Morning, Barry. I think I said Barry. Forex Factory on my end is perfectly fine. Maybe you have a filter on. Really? I haven't got any filters. There's no filters. I can see next month. If I click next month, this month. Oh, right, there you go. So 19th of January. But default view for me is this week, which is that view. And then normally when you click the more button, it goes on and just adds more. But for some reason, it is now not adding more. It's obviously, they've programmed something and they've broken this button. That's all it is, isn't it? Okay. So the way to do it is basically just look at this month. Weird. Don't know. They just broke it somehow. Anyway, so there we go. So US dollar CPI, and as I said, the pound CPI next week, and then Trump gets in here on the 20th. So this is the day you want to be flat, basically, and see what happens. Right, let's have a quick look at the indices before we look at the other stuff. Right, so DAX, clean break long on the DAX, rejecting kind of the pre-market high, which doesn't really exist in FTSE. So we don't have electronic trading. So upside target I would be wary about is probably, there's the exit, there's the hedge exit from yesterday. Look, got out on that. If you didn't get out on that yesterday, which was a double top rejection at ADR, that would have been 5R. So you would have been out here and then you would have got out on that potentially. Might not have been far enough to get out of an exit on it, but so yeah, upside target yesterday's high. So bearing in mind it's non-farm payroll day, I'm just going to move TP1 down just under 3R, which is yesterday's high. Because obviously if we do get a rejection at yesterday's high, there's a chance that we're going to go into rotation ahead of non-farm payroll. So I'm just going to reduce target down slightly. I'm also going to reduce the 5R target down because we've got a monthly high coming up all the way up there, look. So just going to adjust targets to the upside if we hit them, that is. So this, actually this is an old monthly, isn't it? Yeah, so this is the 2-month high, which we have respected, and we fell short of it slightly there, look. That's December high. So potentially upside resistance today is there. And DAX, clean break after a false start. Again, I'm just going to move down slightly. So this wick here is the top of the propulsion move. We're going to find resistance at yesterday's high. Yesterday's high was a double top on the DAX. And that is the New York high. Can't really see that. I'm not zoomed in enough. So this propulsion gap here, that's your New York high. Pre-market yesterday and yesterday's kind of high area here. So there's going to be resistance there. I'm just going to move target down in case we break that. Then we're going to probably find sell orders here, which is where we broke that low. Failing that, obviously, we'll be going up to test previous day's high, which is high of the week, if we break. But as I say, it's non-farm payroll day, so not expecting fireworks today. What's your take on gold? It's a cross with the US dollar. So which way is the US dollar going today? You tell me. So at the moment it's going up. And this afternoon, the US dollar will do that or that. So gold will go the opposite direction to this afternoon's price action. That's as far as I go on gold. Pound New Zealand, you say bad swaps. My platform is showing good for both. Ooh, look at you. 2.75 and 225. Well done. You trade it then. I can't. my broker, Forex, charges me a lot of money to trade the pound New Zealand, so I don't trade it. I'm not that worried. We've got plenty of other pound pairs and New Zealand pairs. Morning, was check. Absolutely terrible with those sorts of names. Right, so those that's your sort of weekly recap, if you like, done. ADRs today, as I said, don't expect to get any RSI extensions. Yesterday we had loads of RSI extensions on the pound pairs, on the hourlies and 4 hourlies. They've all played out. They're all starting to either accumulate, which means the RSI returns to mean, or they're starting to push. So yeah, just sitting in stuff. Didn't manage to bank anything yesterday, up 6% on the month, but didn't manage to get anything banked yesterday because we just didn't really have enough movement. But did manage to scale into some new positions. So we'll see what happens. Just going to whiz over and look at the zones. So for any of you that are trading support, resistance, supply, demand zones, at the moment, this is the zone trader EA, which is obviously my EA for trading support resistance. I'm just going to whiz through all the pairs and adjust the zones as necessary. Nothing really that's too close to my next entry, so can't really get that double bottom from yesterday. So I'm just looking for it to push down below yesterday's low to take a new long on that one. But exit, I'm looking for that area there. So back to propulsion. But if I get another position on, average is going to come down and I will adjust target back down to those highs. But at the minute, we're not really going anywhere. Aussie dollar Swiss, have a short on at the moment, just short this week. Can't do anything with it. It's not gone anywhere, so nothing's changed. Those zones are still in play. That's your resistance upside. Downside, I'm looking for the most recent low to try and get a bounce out. That's that previous resistance turn support. So I'm just looking for an entry, an exit down there to flip long. Aussie dollar yen, have a long on this one at the moment from yesterday. So yesterday, basically, I had the zone set to this accumulation for a bounce, and I'll be getting out at those highs. Next entry, if it does push down, is going to be previous week's low. Should really turn the levels on this. That'll update in a minute. Aussie New Zealand, got out this week of the shorts. I'm looking to add back on up there. So it's too expensive to trade long, so there's no point in putting a buy zone in. So I'm looking for a short entry. If we can get up to those highs, we may well hold this level. But we are kind of forming a wedge at the minute on this. So I'm looking for a short exit, a short entry when we get back up and retest those highs up there. Have you tried to trade the pool for trading stocks? Have you tried trade the pool for trading stocks? I don't trade stocks, so no. Right, so another long entry gone on Aussie US. My target is basically an exit on this. I just want out now. This is just stuck in can't do anything land. So looking for an exit there at the origin of the sell move. Got to break through this high, which it has done, but rejected. So we are still holding this level. It doesn't seem to be able to go anywhere, basically. So I'm looking for a range to form with this high, and then I want out. If we get out up there, then I will flip short on it. But can't really do anything with that one at the minute. I do need to put a new zone into the downside, though. And I'm going to have to go out to daily chart to find one. Oh, so I've got an itchy nose. Right, there isn't one. Okay, so that is our kind of all-time low. Not all-time low, but you know what I mean. Let's put a big thick line right now so we can see it. So that is your low. And as you can see, we kind of tapped yesterday and rejected. So it looks to me like potentially a double bottom bounce. But obviously, this being a US dollar cross, it's going to depend on what happens with unemployment this afternoon. So next entry on this for me, I can't really do a lot with it. So it's going to be just down below that low. So I'm looking for them to come and sweep this low and then reject up. If I have to get another one on, that's going to bring the average down. It's not going to come down that far, but it makes me be able to target this area slightly lower and more comfortably to get out of it, but it's stuck at the minute. CAD Swiss, again, not gone anywhere, just stuck all week, nothing to do. So I'm in short, I'm waiting for it to push back down again. So looking for this area here, support resistance as a buy area, sell area just above at the minute. CAD Yen. Okay, so second entry was taken on that this week. We are moving down nicely now. So this is the obvious range low. There's one or two things is either going to happen here. We're going to come down and we're going to test this. I mean, you see why I've got this zone drawn in. Should be fairly self-explanatory. Yeah. So we're either going to retest this area and bounce, or we're going to come and retest that area and bounce, or we're going to return to origin. One of those three things is happening, but I'm at almost break even on this now. Why is that moving so hard? So we've got yen strength coming through at the minute. Bank of Japan is said to still be mulling rate decision for January. Right, so market was expecting a rate increase. We were expecting a rate increase for January, I think. I haven't got forecasts in yet. I think we were expecting a rate increase January. So the fact that they're still mulling it, not quite sure why the market is acting so bullish on that, because that to me would say that they're thinking of maybe not doing it. But market's obviously just starting a bull reaction to that for the yen. So yen powering up. Right, so this is going to help me a lot because I've got quite a lot of short exposure, which I want to exit on this. So I think I still want to be bullish. Like I said earlier, I kind of want to be bullish on it because that's the way the swaps are. But I'm worried about an intervention move from the Japanese, is because we're getting very close to the previous intervention level, which they are going to potentially resell. So at the minute, I kind of just want to get out of my yen exposure and sort of sit there for a bit and see what happens. So this is going to be giving me some nice exits at the moment on these yen pairs. The problem with the yen is swaps, which is why I don't like to trade short on the yen, because the swap costs are so expensive. So as you can see, I'm on my average here on the CAD yen, but I'm still $34 in drawdown because the swap costs are starting to pile up on a lot of this stuff. So if we can get an ADR on this today, which looks like it might be on the cards, ADR is 1085. So ADR is going to bring us down into this sort of area, which will be a nice profitable exit on all of this yen today. So hopefully we continue that strength to the downside, or strength to the upside. Right, so looking for a long opportunity on this one. Swiss yen, so origin of the bull move. We've already retested this once, so I'm looking for them to retest this area and rebuy it. Obviously today might be a little bit tricky if we do get that big strong move on the yen, but obviously scaling positions to the downside, there are plenty of them. So there's loads of opportunities where we're going to start bounces to go back that direction. Obviously anything that I go long on, target, very obvious. Yeah, we're probably going to find resistance up at the highs. Chris, for some reason my MT4 is only showing little black arrows on entry and exit, no dotted line joining them up. You don't have that on MT4. MT4 doesn't plot trades. That's why I built an indicator to do it. Yeah, so the support resistance propulsion indicator, that's an EA. So with my, it doesn't do it in MT4. So if you want to see this, you need an indicator to do it. So I've got the support resistance propulsion indicator that draws the trade history on the chart for you, shows you the symbol and the time frame. It shows a break-even line for your positions. It shows you all the propulsion gap targets, and it shows you the support resistance for daily, weekly, monthly, and it shows you the timer on the chart down in the bottom left-hand corner, which you can't see because it's just behind my head. Yeah, so that indicator, support resistance propulsion, does all the plotting for you. If you want to plot it manually, you literally can open up this and go to account history and drag the account history onto the chart, and it will draw it. Yeah, so if you want to plot it, you have to drag these onto the chart. Drag your trade onto the chart. But that's the manual way of doing it, obviously. Euro odd. If you've got an EA, though, for example, taking the trades for you, that will plot. Yeah. So if an EA takes the trade, it will plot it. Well, mine do anyway, put it that way. I don't know if everybody else's do, but mine plot your trades. But the EA has to have taken it. Right, so Euro odd, looking for shorts on this one. Too expensive for me to trade long. We've got a gap here. Again, same thing. I'm waiting for it to come up and either test this area or do the gap fill. So I want it up here somewhere to short it. Basically looking for, that was a really bad drawing, looking for a lower high. Euro CAD. I'm in a short at the moment. I can't seem to get target hit on this. It's driving me nuts. In fact, I'm going to close it. Just going to get out because it's driving me nuts. I've been in it since Monday, wanting to get down to this low, and I haven't managed to make it. So I'm just closing that out. We're going bull again, look, today. We've got the US non-farm payroll, and we've got Canadian unemployment rate this afternoon. So this is Euro CAD. There's a good chance the Canadian dollar could pop one way or the other, but I just want out. I don't want to hold it any longer. But levels, in fact, I'm going to change the level. So this area here is obviously the support resistance turncoat. Yeah, so I'll sell here, and I'm going to buy at the previous lows. Euro Swiss, again, same thing, stuck in the middle. We're in a range, so I will trade the range. Not trading until we get to an extreme. Euro Pound, got shorts on at the moment. Next short is going in today. Why did I put the next short up there? Oh, there wasn't a logical area, right? So this is why you do this every day. My view yesterday on this. Let's go back to yesterday, and I'll explain why that level is where it is. This was my view of the market yesterday. Okay. I couldn't see any decent. That level there was the next resistance to the upside. It's too close to that position, so I couldn't place my resistance zone there. I couldn't see any logical area, and this little area here was also a little bit too close to the previous trade. So I couldn't see any logical areas for me to enter. So I thought, right, well, we've got this high, and this little lower high there, which we started that market structure bearish on. So I thought, well, if we come back up and retest this area here, this propulsion gap, and this high, there's a chance that they may sell out of there. So that's where I started the zone, and I was like, well, somewhere in between this whole area here, we're going to get some bearish price action. So that's my next entry. Fast forward to today. Yesterday, we had a lot of different price action going. So immediately I'm looking at this thinking, well, why on earth am I not targeting this? Because obviously this wasn't there yesterday, was it? It was down here. So obvious thing to do now is we'll see if we double top yesterday's high. If we double top yesterday's high today, that is going to be my next entry short. My target isn't going to change at the moment. There's my average. These highs here are a great downside target. If we come down, we're likely to hit this area or this accumulation and bounce back out again. But right now, origin of that move. So this is a whacking great propulsion gap. If you had the support resistance propulsion indicator on there, you'd see a big propulsion gap there, which basically market is likely to retest and find buyers at. So going to try an extra entry up here. Target is going to stay the same. Obviously, if that trade does get triggered today, average is going to jump up, which means I can then place this zone here because I'll have that much profit. So we'll adjust that as necessary depending on today's price action. Euro yen got sells on. Very optimistic. In fact, too optimistic. I'm not going to target that low because I want to get out of these. So I just want out of these yen pairs at the minute. So I'm just going to target this accumulation here. That's where that move kicked off from. So if we can come and retest that area, I'll get out. If Euro New Zealand, I got shorts on at the moment, just gone nowhere all week, nothing I can do with it. So again, next entry is going to be on a double top rejection, which is going to form a range with this accumulation. So that will become the range. So then I will look to try and get out here, but the average is a little bit too tight at the moment. Just really tricky this at the minute because of the price action before Christmas, and after Christmas it's just been very sideways. So we're stuck. Nothing's moving. Same as this one. Long. It's just not going anywhere. Looked like an exit. In fact, I had an opportunity to exit, but we double topped. Great Batman look. Batman pattern. A reversal. So still targeting propulsion to the upside. However, yeah, I mean, I'm at the point where I just want out. So just going to encompass those highs. So any kind of push into that area or push up into that, as soon as I get a rejection, out. And then I'll flip short. Pound odd, sideways at the minute. Got buys on this one, looking for a retest of propulsion. So downside, that area there is a double bottom off of an accumulation. So that's an accumulation break, making a new higher high and a retest. So this is where the buyer started to move and added twice to the position. That's exactly where I would like to get in, but I can't because it's too close to that position here. So I'm going to target this accumulation break here, which started that market structure off. Failing that, we've got a propulsion gap target to the downside. So the idea here is to add a position here. If that fails, we're going to return to origin to add another position, bring the average down, and then target that area on the way back up again. Pound CAD got longs on at the moment, looking for a return to origin. All these pounds are the same. They're all looking to go back to the same level. Look, pound Swiss, origin of the move. I'm going to play it by ear on these and see where we go, but obviously I'll check them daily. But yeah, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't get back up to there. That's too close to get a new entry on, so it's just below that. Pound yen got buys on, so got out the shorts yesterday, flip long at this support. Next entry long is going to be down there. Didn't quite get there, unfortunately, yesterday. But if we do manage to get that buying pressure maintained, that will be my entry. Propulsion gap will probably become my target. So if I take a third entry here, average is going to move down. Sorry, second entry, average is going to move down to here, which means that I can move the target down to there, and that will be the profit. But right now, if we don't get that second entry on, I'm going to try a double top on that. But obviously, we got a double top here. So we've got a lower high, lower low. So it would make sense for a lower high to get put in. In fact, that makes much more sense. So I'm just going to target propulsion gap high. So that's the supply demand area up here. Pound New Zealand, no trades, too expensive. Pound US, got another long on that. Third long on Pound US. I think I've got to go a fair way out to find support. Yeah, I mean, this is the obvious support area here, which is miles away. Really hope this pound starts to get a little bit of life, but we'll see what happens this afternoon with the US dollar. So upside target, just going to pull it down into that propulsion gap. So that's the propulsion gap there, which is in play. So upside target there, nice bit of profit. That area there potentially is also a sell area, but if they get there, it doesn't make sense not to come back and test that area. You're still putting in a lower high. If we are going to continue bearish market structure, that's where we're going to put it in, potentially. New Zealand dollar CAD, another entry taken yesterday long. Got to go to the 4, got to go to the daily. Excuse me. So this is your area there, basically. So somewhere around there is going to be next entry, which is a fair old distance, but there's an argument for actually adjusting this to look at this zone here. Just watch those lows. So I'll try those lows first. If we get down to there, upside target is getting trickier and trickier on this because it's just a mess. It's such messy price action on this. The moment I'm looking at just getting out somewhere up here in this propulsion. So assuming that we're going to continue bearish, we'd be putting in some kind of retracement maybe on that leg, but it's a real choppy mess. New Zealand pairs are very, very choppy, so it's always difficult to pinpoint price action on them. They're not the most simple pair to read, but it's all over the place. Highs in different places. It's just a mess. So just anything above the average at the moment just to get out of the trade, really. But saying that, we got Canadian news this afternoon, so we might get a massive move. It's worth putting the target higher just to see if we do get it. Sideways at the minute. Nothing to do on this one. I'm in long. Again, it's just not going anywhere. I'll tell you what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to just stick a break even on this because I don't want I don't really want to take the profit. It's not big enough. That's so close to target this week, didn't quite get it, and it's obviously eaten the whole lot away. So what I'll do is I'm going to get out of it if we get down to my entry, either making a profit or just getting out, basically. It's just not able to go anywhere at the minute. Can't get to either of these zones, so just waiting for it to do something. New Zealand dollar yen, have a long on from yesterday. That's coming down nicely today, so second entry is going in at these lows. Target will be obviously upside, so looking for push up. New Zealand dollar, US dollar. Got multiple longs on this one from before Christmas. This is probably the first thing I traded when I started trading with the zones. It's just free fall at the minute. So looking for new entry to go in here. I really want to get this average down. So I've got this one set on, I'm going to move it up to actually to 1.4. So I want to scale into larger positions on this quicker. So I'm kind of getting into aggressive entry criteria here on this. I've got 5 positions on it, 5 trades on it. The next one I want to be a little bit bigger to get this average down, because I want the average to get down below the origin of that propulsion move on the news, which is the interest rates for the New Zealand. I want to get out if we can get back to retest that area. So just trying to get the average down a little bit faster. It's one of those, if it does get the average down to that area, I might well just jump ship and go, that didn't work out, and not take a loss. US dollar CAD, totally sideways. I'm in a sell, have been in a sell, can't get out of it because it's not moving. Stuck. US dollar Swiss, very much the same story. We just returned back up here. Another sell went in on it yesterday. Next entry is just up higher because we are just making new highs. Looking for a push back down into this area here to get out with a small loss. Just one out. These ones where you get into big squeezes that just don't go anywhere, just want to get out, exit. So even if it's a small loss, it's just want the position flat. And US dollar yen, as I said, this morning we've got obviously this price action coming in, this strength coming in. So we are putting in, based on this, a new higher low, lower high. If we can break that low, it's a structure reversal. So potentially a move to the downside. But it's got to come a fair old way to get me out of this one. So I'm going to be stuck in it for ages. It's going to cost me an absolute fortune, and I wish I'd never taken it. Nothing you can do. I'm in it. This account was set up to forward test the zones, and I didn't think of swaps because I'm trading such small volume on it. I didn't think about swaps, but they are still building up. So I can add more. I've only put a small amount into this account, so I will need to potentially add more volume, more capital into it. If we don't get some of these sort of squeezy moves out, because it's just going to cost a fortune, swaps. So, but as soon as I'm out of these ones where I'm in opposite direction on swap, obviously the EA won't take any more trades in those directions, so it'll only be trading long. But as I said earlier, yen's very cautious on at the minute. Those yens, very difficult to tell what they're going to do. Right, that's it. You're right, Forex Factory has a bug. Wasn't testing like you. I've logged a bug report. Well done. I couldn't be asked. I was assuming that basically it was all going to catch up and fix itself. But yeah, obviously it does take someone to report a bug report for them to actually know they've got a bug. Because if they knew they had a bug, they'd fix it, I'd imagine. But anyway, so yeah. But for the moment, if you're having the same problem as me, just hit the this month instead of this week. And obviously you'll be able to get access to all the other news. Because the other day I was just trying to fast forward to when Trump gets in, which is there. So anybody got any other questions? Anything they want to look at, discuss? TP1 hit on FTSE. So ORB, clean break, straight to target, pulling back. Runner is on with a break even, trailing stop. So if we do break that previous day's high, obviously the second trade just gets trailed. DAX, break long, not really going anywhere at the minute. I just want to see what the Nasdaq's up to. Oh, it's totally range bound. Okay. Nice little contraction on the DAX, on the Nasdaq in Globex. Good little trade idea here. Flip a coin, long or short, stop above and below. You've got a positive R, whichever way you go. You just got to get it right. Looks, it's very difficult to tell what it is, to be honest. It's slightly bullish from Globex. So we took out the previous low, double topped. Or one of those two things are 100% guaranteed to happen today. You decide. I kind of want to get a trade on in Globex as well, because I might be out this afternoon and I want to get a day's trading in on these accounts. Take a short. I'm going short. We'll see. very small risk trade, but in fact, I think what I might even do with it is trail it. There we go. So I'm just going to trail, basically. If we does go short, just going to keep reducing that risk down. Basically, even if I'm not around this afternoon, which I might not be, I don't really want to trade the New York session after non-farm payroll, because most of the time the market has put all of its volume in during NFP. So when you get the open, it's usually quite often a rotational session on the US indices after non-farm payroll, because if you think non-farm payroll comes out 1 hour before, so what you tend to do is get that massive spike and reaction within the first 30 minutes of NFP, a little accumulation, and then it will usually retrace itself back to where it needs to go, or push itself further on from where it's been, and then you tend to go into rotation for the rest of the day. It's Friday, low volume, all the money gets put in a non-farm, so the session in New York is usually pretty dire on non-farm payroll days. Occasionally we get non-farm payroll really shake the market up with very big interest rate decisions, unemployment numbers, and you get a big continuation day, where you get a massive trend day way beyond ADR. But they're a lot less common, basically. So there we go. So that does look like a high rejection today. So this will be lower high. So we're looking for a break of that low down into here. So that'd be target to the downside. So I'm just going to trail that down and see if I can get a nice big strong move like that straight down to target. And then I also need to trade my 150, but I'm a bit late for that now. So what I might do with that account is long the lows down there, stick a buy limit down there. Yeah, I've got double bottom low look from previous day. So I'll buy that area there. Obviously in Globex there's low volume, so look for a push back up again when we get down there. Are you trading the US indices this afternoon? I've just answered that one. No. So yeah, I don't think it's worth doing. Go back and look at previous non-farm payrolls on the US indices. It's one of two things happens. You either get a unexpected result and an explosive trending move in the afternoon, or you get an expected result and just a rotational afternoon. So either way, if you are typically the type of person that scalps trends, you'll do all right. If you're the type of person that mean reverts, you get killed. So it's down to how your trading style is, really, at the end of the day. But usually non-farm payroll will do that. Then the market opens. The volume has all gone. So when you've got a lot of algorithmic trading, as we have these days with banks and institutions, if they need to do stock sector purchasing, that tends to be done algorithmically. And if there's enough volume, you can get those orders done during the Globex session. They don't need to wait for the bell, which is where you get the initial balance and the opening ranges placed, which is where all the big orders just go in straight at the open, which is why we get that momentum at the open, which is why we trade the opening range breakout strategy. But when you've had a news event that drives an ADR before the bell goes, all that Globex trading sucks the volume out of the market. So when the bell goes, there's no volume left. So you tend to get a rotational sideways movement, which is great for range trading, but can also be very choppy because there's not a lot of volume. So you get a lot of slippage with them trying to find liquidity, and you get big spikes. So it's just not, quite often, it's just not a very nice trading session. So I was kind of hoping to get a nice clean double break this morning and bank sort of 400 odd, but it looks like it's not going to happen. Considering I've just shorted the Nasdaq, I'm actually expecting this all to drop. And as you can see, we've got DAX rejection at the highs. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to call it. I'm getting out of the DAX, taking a small loss, and I'm going to close that FTSE. So just clearing £100 today on it. So 179 banked there. When that updates on the next candle close, that'll be $63 a pound loss there. So I've cleared 120 for the morning, and then that'll be done today. Morning, Neo. So that trade's now locked in, free trade. So see if we can hold market structure. So I want to see that sell. Okay, that's it. That's all for this afternoon, for this morning even. Yen, we've got a weekly range hit on the yen. Looks like we've got some movement going on these yens still. So still pushing down. A little bit of strength coming through in the US dollar, which will help the NAS go down. Yeah, so we got some strength in the US coming through. Not masses though. As I say, it's more likely to be rotational today until we get to NFP. What risk do you use on SIH? 0.25%. So it's 0.5% basically, because it takes 2 trades. I did 1.64 first day using it. Seems too much. Don't complain about making money. You're on 0.3. Well, that's about right. Yeah. It doesn't matter. I mean, the risk is up to you. Sorry, I'm using 0.3. So yeah, no, I'm using 0.3 as well. Yeah, sorry, I'm using 0.2 on the FTSE and 0.3 on the DAX. 0.25 on the Nasdaq and 0.25 on the Dow. Somewhere between 0.2 and 0.3. But basically you've got to double it, obviously, because SIH takes 2 trades on the break. So you've got double whatever exposure you put in there is doubled because you take 2. So like that. So but it's up to you. Always start low. You can always increase it. The thing with the SIH is it's risking an amount of money over a range, and the range is going to be different every day. So this is why I use a percentage risk, because you're risking a percent of your account over whatever the range is. And if the range is that or that or that, you're going to risk a different lot size. But the percentage risk is always going to be the same. But see how much money it makes. The difficulty is you get different ranges on different pairs, which gives you different lot sizes, which gives you different profits. So you're never going to get it to the point where you're going to get every single instrument being exactly the same, because they're all going to have different ranges and break differently every day. So it's a case of just getting them rough. There's nothing exact in trading. There is just nothing exact. Everything is rough. There goes. Good exit on the DAX there. Look. That rejection was spot on today, so glad I'm out of that. If you do get hedged on it, obviously watch for a bounce here. So normally I would say that is far too close to place a target for a hedge exit. However, today we're likely to be in rotation until non-farm payroll, so there is a high probability of a bounce out of that double bottom. So this is yesterday's low and the previous day's low. We bought it up twice after clean breaking the previous resistance, which is the same level. So highly probable we're going to get some kind of price action there. So if you do get hedged on it, which is entering somewhere around here short, look for a bounce to exit the position down there. I'm used to pos trader, I think. Why the difference between them? I think I just explained that, didn't I? It's not no real rhyme or reason. It's just it's an observation thing. So I find that on the Nasdaq, when I used the same, initially I started using exactly the same risk on every single one of them. What I found was that the DAX was always, the hedge loss that got locked in on the DAX was always bigger. I think it was the DAX was always bigger than the FTSE, or was it the other way around? No, it was always smaller than the FTSE. So I increased the risk on the DAX. So what I'd ideally like to do is have exactly the same on all of them. So if every single one of them, I want them all locked in at 250. The trouble is you've got different offsets, you get slipped to different levels. So the little intricacies of the market mean that they never add up to exactly the same thing. So I've identified that obviously the NAS moves a lot faster. You get slipped a little bit more on the NAS. So I like to have the settings ever so slightly different. But at the end of the day, it doesn't make a massive difference. It either clean breaks or it doesn't clean break. If it doesn't clean break, you deal with it. If it clean breaks, you just don't worry about it. You take the money. And always, if you get a clean break to target one, that will always pay for the other one. Yeah. Today's profit's not minus 267. Oh, it is because I got a loss in from yesterday. Yeah, that's sorry. So ignore that figure there. This morning I had to close out my hedge from yesterday on the DAX. I stupidly, and I've done this before, yesterday, I got hedged on the DAX. The FTSE made money. So I decided to leave the hedge in place on the DAX. I stupidly closed the EA down before end of day. So, of course, it couldn't close the positions automatically for me because I shut the EA. So I woke up this morning and I was like, why am I still in the DAX? Because I forgot to close it yesterday. So I had to close out the DAX hedge this morning, which was $200 pounds. So that is actually the total of today's P&L, which is what was yesterday and today. So I'm 67 down today. I was 200 down yesterday, but FTSE yesterday I made 300 on. So, and obviously today I've made the same on the FTSE, 179. So complicated maths. Anyway, I'll ignore all that. Stopped out on that one. See what I mean about rotational days? You're not much fun. It's quite hard to get into a trade and stay in a trade in this type of market. New lower high gone in. So we've got a higher high and a lower low. So we've got an expanding wedge, which means we're either targeting that or we're targeting that. It's a flip a coin day. It's probably not even worth bothering with, to be honest. So is that effectively two separate buys or sell on the SIH? Yeah. Yeah, it's all explained in the manual how it works. If you want to go and have a read of the manual, and it explains the logic, how it works, all in here. It's all explained in there, the strategy and how the risk works and everything. So there you go. So the settings are for each trade, not in total. The EA takes 2 trades in each direction, so that needs to be taken into account. What I used to have, what I had initially was 1 trade being taken and then a partial take profit. The problem with that is when MetaTrader 4 deals with that situation, it creates a new order number, which can interfere with the logic of the EA because it uses grouping of orders instead of indexes, because these things, the trouble with the DAX and the NASDAQ, the FTSE and everything, they've got so many different names on so many different brokers. I needed to set a way up of grouping orders so it pays attention to order numbers. So what I did initially was I had 1 order taken and then you take a partial, but when you take a partial it reorder numbers it which means the EA forgot to manage that order. So the easiest solution was just to split the order into two, manage both orders. It's just an ease of logic, which is why it takes two. But obviously we want a runner on one. So, and it also allows you to adjust individually the stops and take profits on each order. So if you only had one order placed, you can only adjust one order. With two orders, you can adjust the TPs individually. So you can say the 3R today, let's say it's there. I would say, well, I want my 3R there. The 5R today is here, but I want my 5R here. You can't do that if you've got one order. So the idea is we get a quick win and a runner. You need to be able to, in my opinion, adjust them separately. So the only consequence of that is you just need to pay attention to that being double your risk. So, right, there we go. So we'll wait and see what happens this afternoon with non-farm payroll. So be aware of that at 1:30. Then obviously US indices open at 2:30. We will get additional volume coming in at 2:30. So if this comes out dramatically different, if we get a 4 or a 4.4, we're going to get a big move on the US this afternoon. If that comes out as a massively different number, we're going to get a big move, and obviously that as well. So there is potential for that to go above 7%. I don't think we've been there. So it will be, yeah. If we do get that 7%, oh no, we have back at, yeah, after COVID. So, right. So if this obviously unemployment in the Canadian area is rising. If we get to that 7.0, that is a big psychological level for the market. It's like things are getting expensive in Canada. So unemployment costs money for the government. So you've got that psychological barrier. We jumped dramatically last time. Look, we were at a 6.5. We were expecting a 6.6. We got a 6.8. So not only were we expecting it to go up, we actually got 0.2 percentile on top of the forecast. We are there now expecting it to go up 1. If that happens again, we're going to be above the 7. That Canadian dollar is going to react dramatically. So there's 2 potential shocks this afternoon. So just be aware of them. Might take off, might not. Wait and see. That's it. Anything you need, let me know. I'll be back on Monday, same time, 8 o'clock. I will be in Discord if you need anything. But other than that, good luck this afternoon. And I will see you next time. Have a good day.